It's Manga Monday Book Club time! Yeet yeet! Welcome back to my channel, guys. Today is the Manga Monday Book Club meeting for Death Note Volumes 3 and 4, or the entirety of Volume 2, Death Note Black Edition. If you don't know what Manga Monday Book Club is, I will leave more information for you down below in the description. Go and check that out. And I will list our upcoming manga picks down below in the description as well. But today, we're discussing Death Note. I'm going to be giving a few non-spoilery thoughts before I dive full into the spoilery section. I loved these two volumes in this series. I do feel like there were times where it dragged a bit, but at the same time, the things that were happening were really interesting to me, and that kind of kept me invested in the story. I really like all the twists and turns that were thrown our way, and we don't really have a smooth journey, and that goes for both Light's side and L's side. We got complications on both ends, and I really like seeing that. It wasn't an easy breezy ride, it was kind of a difficult ride at times. And this one ends on a note, not a death note, but on a note that has me really curious as to what happens next. Even though I've seen the anime, it's been a minute, so I've kind of forgotten quite a bit. So I'm still finding myself shook from time to time with reading this. That's all the non-spoilery thoughts I have. We are now going to be diving into a spoilery section. So if you have not read volumes 3 and 4 of Death Note or Death Note Volume 2 Black Edition, then go read that, come back, and discuss with us in the comments. These volumes covered quite a bit, so I'm going to try my best to be concise and not be too long-winded with this discussion. Also, before I get started, I do want to note that I accidentally talked about this first chapter in the last video because I was reading the manga on digital on the Viz Media app, and I hadn't realized that I had gone too far. My bad. I just got sucked into the story. So if you want to see the discussion on the first chapter of this volume, then you're going to have to go and watch the end of the last Death Note discussion, which I will leave a link to that video along with the timestamp of when I talk about that down below in the description. So we're starting our discussion with chapter 18. So, a pretty big thing that happened in this chapter is the fact that L decided that he was going to go and meet Light and reveal himself as L to him and try to get him to reveal to L that he is in fact Kira. As if it would ever be that easy. I'm not sure L knew going into this plan just how much of a genius Light is. Like, him and Light are on the same genius level here. I loved that intense eye contact we got in the classroom when the teacher was telling L to sit properly and L and Light's eyes connect. And there's just so much power in that eye contact. L's eyes are full of eagerness to get the truth, and Light's eyes are instantly full of suspicion. I mean, I guess there is a reason this chapter is called Gaze. I loved that L was going by the name Hideki Ryuga, not only because it was genius of him to use the name of a pop star, but also because of the fact that it literally has the word hide in it, and he's trying to hide his real identity. It made me so happy seeing L just come through and serve Light a plot twist. They're both chosen as freshman representatives, and they're both on stage, and L's like, we're both about to give a speech, and I'm gonna let you finish, but first I gotta let you know I'm L. The audible gasp I let out when I read that, though, it's been a minute since I watched the anime, but I did not remember this scene at all. That was like a big old checkmate kind of move. I loved seeing Light having the meltdown of the century over this. He's keeping this super calm demeanor when he leaves school, when he gets on the train, and when he walks into the house. And then boom, as soon as he sits down at his desk, he has this full-on frustration explosion. Of course, Ryuk is like, this is the perfect opportunity to manipulate him and try to get him to use the ideal. I don't think that's gonna get you an apple, Ryuk. Of course, Light only sees the situation as an opportunity to outsmart L. He's not worried at all. So his plan is to basically form a strong bond with him and then kill him off. But the thing that I'm really curious about is if he is able to kind of grow this strong bond with him, this strong friendship, will he really be able to kill him in the end? That's where we'll really see if he's truly lost in all of this. If, when given the opportunity, he's able to kill L. It's kind of fun to see L and Light interacting together on such a personal level because they're both trying to find out more information about the other person, and they're both analyzing every little thing that the other person does. And just like with everything else that they're both involved in, they're being hecka ambitious on the tennis court, as if this isn't just a friendly game of tennis, and more like a match to determine the best tennis player of all time. How are they even focusing on the game when they're breaking down every action that the other person does? Break it down now. I'd be tripping all over that court. L sure is just really good at dropping bombs on Light. After that match, he's just like, so bro, you just may in fact be Kira. Bada bing, bada boom. Can I get an and I oop like you got me? What happens when two geniuses walk into a coffee shop and one of them is trying to decipher if the other is a killer, meanwhile the other one is trying to hide the fact that they're a killer? Pain to the brain, I tell ya. I was seriously getting a headache reading both their inner monologue and also their conversation between each other. Calm down, brain, calm down, it's gonna be okay. I'm really surprised that L wants Light to join in on the investigation. That just seems like really risky business to me. Like, you're bringing somebody into the case who could be Kira. Somebody make it make sense, because it don't make sense to me. On the other hand though, it does kind of make sense because it'll be clear if he's Kira Kira if he ends up slipping up. Don't be tripping, Light, or you're gonna be making that target on yourself bigger than it already is. I feel like things are about to get even more difficult for Light. I was so shook that Daddy-O had a heart attack at the end of this chapter. Shook. I'm so glad that his dad only had a heart attack and didn't die. I mean, I'm not glad that he had a heart attack, let me make that clear, but I'd rather him just have that and not die. Because if he did die, then I would have lost my mind. Because we'd have to assume that Light was the one that did it. That would really mean that we've lost Light. The minute he starts turning on his own family, then that's when we know he's gone completely dark. LOL, get it? From light to dark? This little light of mine ain't gonna shine no more once he starts taking out his own blood. Light brings up to his dad the fact that he swore that if anything happened to him, he would make sure that Kira got the death penalty. So does that mean that if he does end up slipping up and turns on his dad, that he will turn himself in? I'm thinking doubtful over here. I do not see him doing that. I guess we'll have to keep an eye on him and his promises. I'm just really hoping that Boy does not get tempted to write any of his family members' names down in the death note. Please don't do it. Please don't go that far. Elle has Light describe what his image of Kira is, and Elle is like, let me just drop another bomb on you here. So you're saying that Kira is your sister? That sure shook up Mr. Light. The timing on Elle's part with this delivery is a little off. He shouldn't have brought that up in front of Daddy-O, who literally just had a heart attack-o. Like, can we just let this man get some rest, please? He is helping you out, Elle. You kinda need him as much as he needs you. It's so interesting to me at the end of this seeing Light say to Ryuk that he never considered finding the notebook and gaining this power to ever be a misfortune. Despite all the stress it's putting him through, he's completely thriving off of it. Who knew a little innocent boy finding a notebook would lead to this? I really wonder what Light was like growing up. Like, did he always have these secret desires to hurt bad people? Or like, was he really hungry to be in a position of power? I feel like he had to have been really eager to be a person with a lot of power. Like, that just makes sense to me. What do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments. At the end of this chapter, we see the awful network director get his hands on some tapes from Kira with the order to air them, along with a threat if he doesn't air them. I guess this was the juicy juice he was looking for. He got it, but at what cost? Literally putting your team of people, your coworkers, at risk here. The fact that he's like, I'm stoked, and not like, holy crap, I'm scared, says a lot about his character. So Kira's video announces that he's going to be taking out people who have condemned him on TV, which right away, this does not seem like something that Light would do. The only part of it that feels like Light in any way is when they say that they don't want to kill innocent people and that they hate evil and they love justice. But they contradict themselves by killing innocent people. So like, we know it can't be Light. It was so sad seeing Yukita dash off to Sakura TV to try to stop this from happening and seeing him end up dying just like that. I felt like the scene where the police officer was furious and was like, I want to go, and was talking to Elle about it, and Elle was like, no, you can't go, and was trying to calm him down, was like such a good scene. It kind of really brings us back to what's happening and just how risky it is for them to be involved in this investigation. Like, they're literally risking their lives when so many people have pulled out of the investigation and don't want to be involved in it at all. Freaking Daddy-O driving a car into Sakura TV? My god, that man is a wild one. He just had a heart attack and he's like, as if that's gonna stop me. I was living when Daddy-O literally nailed it into the network director. Someone needed to come through and smack him upside the head with the truth of how terrible he's being. And the fact that Daddy-O pulled a gun on the director when he was like, it'll get us killed if we pass over the tapes. Methinks that Daddy-O might have just snapped. He has clearly had enough of all of this. He has reached the level of donezo. So Kira's video of cooperation basically said to show more criminals on TV, and they will be the deciding factor in who does and doesn't get punished. But that ain't it. It gets even more absurd. The crew working on the Kira investigation must go on national television and say that they're working with Kira, which is just such a dumb request, as if they're going to do that. Like, they're not gonna show their faces on national television. Ain't gonna happen. This chapter ends with Elle and Ryuk smiling at the TV, and at this point I was still like, there's no way that this is their doing. This does not feel like the original Kira. There's no way. And what do you know? Light reveals that there's another Shinigami in town, and that the person involved with the Shinigami has Shinigami eyes, which really makes sense in the way that people were dying, because they were just like dropping like flies. Of course, Elle, our smarty two shoes, has already figured out the fact that this is a second Kira. Though I will say that the second Kira was not smart in their approach. Like, they didn't even try to match up their style with the real Kira. Like, you should have studied the real Kira before coming up with your master plan. I love the fact that the Death Note landed in the hands of a Kira fangirl. I mean, we learn later on exactly why she is a fangirl, and it makes sense, but it just added such an interesting layer to the story, especially because she's not someone that you would expect to be killing off people. This police officer is a big mood during these meetings with Elle. Sometimes I'm so lost reading through all of this. So Light is brought in and instantly spills that he thinks that there are 2 Kiras, which is enough for Elle to kind of bring his suspicion levels down a notch or 2, at least for now. Here comes Elle with another curveball. He wants Light to play the role of Kira and trying to lure out the second Kira. Elle is just so good at catching Light off guard. I live for it, like literally. I mean, Light is able to keep it together, but we the reader kind of see him crumble a little bit inside. He's like, oh, Anna, oh. So they send out a message and they get a reply from the second Kira, and it's just as sloppy, if not more sloppy than the first message. The fact that she mentioned the eyes, like, come on now, what you doing? Then she topped it off with the mention of the Shinigami. Can you think this through a little? Like, just a little? Like, even that had Elle flopping out of his chair in shock. I love this panel so much. You're right, Ryuzaki. Shinigami can't possibly exist. I felt like I was just losing my mind reading all of this. Because Kira is in the room, and sure, Elle is suspicious of Light, obviously, but he doesn't have it confirmed that he's Kira, and Light is doing a pretty good job of clearing his name, and they're kind of feeding him ideas without even realizing it, and I'm just like, again, my brain was hurting so much reading the inner monologues and also the conversation. Rim, to me, is such an interesting Shinigami. The way in which he figured out how to kill another Shinigami. If a Shinigami basically falls in love with another human and saves them, that kills them. It's actually kind of sad in which the way that Shinigami went, how he was saving Misa from dying. This story just continues to get more and more layered. So Misa is able to narrow down that Light is the one who is Kira because of the fact that when she sees his name, she also doesn't see his lifespan. I'm glad she waited to make contact with him instead of going right up to him in that moment, because the more that we get to know her, the more that we see how impulsive she is with the decisions that she makes. I mean, we kind of see that in the way that she even handled the broadcasting of her Kira tapes because of how sloppy she was in doing all of that. And I just feel like it would not have been out of character for her to go right up to Light and be like, Kira, what's up, bro? But thank God she didn't. Yeah, so carrying off of that impulsive comment, I mean moments like this where she shows up on Light's doorstep. Misa, Misa, Misa. This was a really good chapter though, because Misa was kind of being painted as this really messy Kira when she did have a lot more thought behind what she was doing, and she had planned it out pretty well. I mean, there were some missteps that we see come back into play later on down the line in this volume, but it was revealed that she had gone about things a little bit better than we had assumed. And this chapter also made me feel really bad for her. I mean, obviously I know she's done some terrible things, but she's also been through some crazy trauma, like seeing her parents killed before her very eyes. Like, that is awful. But this chapter does also make it clear as to why she is such a big Kira fangirl, because Kira was the one who punished the guy who killed her parents. So that's why she's so willing to give it all up to him. Though I do wish that she'd see that Light has no interest in her at all whatsoever, and that he's literally just gonna be using her. I feel so bad for her. Misa is really good for Light's ego, and that is not a good thing. Like, she's just stroking it all the live long day. I don't think that necessarily that's what he needs, but that's what he's getting. Like, boy more so needs to be brought down to earth and be grounded. He needs to wake up and realize what he's doing. It was interesting to me that Rim threatened to kill Light. It's very clear that Rim has become very attached to Misa. Like, do you think Ryuk would ever do that for Light? I don't really think so. It feels like Ryuk is just here for the entertainment and the apples. So I'm guessing Elle saying that Light-kun is my first ever friend was kind of a manipulation tactic. That way, if Light is actually Kira, which he is in fact Kira, we know this, but him knowing that factor could make it harder for Light down the line if he ever does attempt to kill Elle, which of course we know that's his plan. He's gonna take down Elle. What do you guys think? Was that a way for Elle to try to manipulate Light? Because it's not like they really hang out as friends much. Like, they don't know each other outside of all of this Kira business. Misa showing up to meet him in public, like, what you doing, sis? And Light's being tailed at this point, so it's just like, they make this deal that Rim will kill Elle as long as Misa is happy in him doing that. This is when I'm starting to grow suspicious of Rim and his motives when it comes to Misa. Like, there's gotta be like this deep connection between them, because he would literally do anything for Misa. Like, is he falling in love with Misa? Yo, Elle really knows how to throw a wrench in Light's plans. Light's like, LOL, I'ma kill you soon. Then Elle's like, LOL, if I die in the next few days, then everyone's gonna know that you're Kira. Gotta love a whiplash back and forth situation like this. Oh my gosh, Misa showing up when Light was there had me flailing. Misa just can't resist the urge to see Light, which this ultimately gets them into a messy situation. So they ended up apprehending Misa on suspicion of her being Kira. Mind shooketh, mind bloweth. I was wheezing reading all of this. I really was not expecting it. But just the way that this went about was just so epic on L's part. The fact that he stole Misa's phone, and as Light and L were walking away from each other, Light called Misa, and L had the phone and picked it up and was like, yo, I got Misa's phone. I was living for that moment. So Rim ends up removing himself from Misa, and relinquishing ownership of the Death Note clears your memory of anything to do with the Death Note. She still has the memory of Light though, like Light was not cleared from her mind. So I'm wondering though, when she gets out of all of this, if she'll remember that Light is Kira, or if that's been erased too because it is so connected to the Death Note. I'm very curious to find that out. So Light is using this tactic that I'm not really sure is going to work, but he's like trying to convince everybody on the team that he thinks that he could be Kira, and like maybe he's doing it unconsciously without even realizing it. And he's using this as some kind of diversion. In some ways, he's gaining the sympathy of people in the room by saying things like, I don't know, sometimes I think about bad people and how I want them dead. Because there are people in the room that relate to that, who have thought about bad people and how they don't feel like they deserve to be alive. So in the end, Light is going into confinement to prove that he's not Kira. Is this gonna work? Like, I'm sure Light knows what he's doing because we've seen him time and time again execute his plan flawlessly, but I feel like it could go in a really bad direction real quick. So that's the end of this discussion for Death Note Volume 2 Black Edition, or Death Note Volumes 3 and 4. Now it's time for you guys to run down to the comments and tell me all your thoughts on this volume. What did you think of this volume? Do you think that L's plan at the end of this volume is going to work out in his favor? Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comments. Next Monday, we'll be discussing My Hero Academia Volume 3. There are already discussions for sure up on the Goodreads page right now, so be sure to go and join in on the discussion there on Goodreads. I'm sorry that I did not get the Death Note discussions up on Goodreads in time for this episode. I apologize, but that's it for today's Manga Monday Book Club. Thank you to everybody who joined in. Be sure to let me know all your thoughts on this volume down below in the comments. If you like this video, be sure to go and hit that like button. If you want to see more bookish content from me, be sure to go and hit subscribe or go and hit that bell icon, and you'll be notified every time I post new videos. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope your day is bright, that tomorrow is brighter. Keep reading what your heart desires, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye.